I have a question for business people, or for business-minded people, or even just for people who say that business issues and economic issues are their main concern. That's what's driving them as they think about this election. And, you know, I feel like even for those of us who don't think of ourselves as business-minded people or as business people or people for whom that's our top priority, a lot of us have a lot of respect for people who do define themselves that way, right? You think that's sort of kind of a serious way to look at the world, a respectable way to look at the world. Maybe business issues aren't my top thing. Maybe economic issues aren't my top thing. I don't know. But if those are top concerns for you, well, credit to you. I'm interested in how you make your decisions on that basis, right? It's a respectable approach to these kinds of difficult questions. And this issue about sort of making a business decision about your vote, a business decision about the election, this comes up all the time when you look at real-world support for Donald Trump, right? When you look at why, you know, relatively normal people say they're going to vote for him. Right? Yes, he tried to stay in power by sicking a violent mob on Congress after he lost re-election. Yes, he's awaiting sentencing after being convicted of 34 felonies. Yes, he's awaiting trial on dozens more felony charges. Yes, he told Americans they could inject disinfectant for COVID. Yes, he made it government policy to take little kids away from their moms and dads. Yes, he gave pardons to all his friends, and he got impeached twice. And now he is running for re-election by talking about people with bad genes poisoning the blood of America, and how we're going to use the military to build gigantic camps, and we're going to round up tens of millions of people in America and put them in these huge camps. Yes, there are things about him that maybe aren't appealing. There are things about him that maybe sound a little nutty. But you hear this all the time. But, you know, but his policies. If you're just an economic-minded person, if you're just a business-minded person, then you're sort of big enough, you're sort of above it all enough to not really care about or not even really think about stuff like that. You're just in it for the policies. Right? Like Georgia Governor Brian Kemp said just last week. This is the same Brian Kemp that Trump tried to force to throw out the election results from his state last time. Kemp said he's voting for Trump this time anyway. He just said last week, quote, "Look, you may not like Donald Trump personally, but you'll like his policies. It's a business decision. You're making a business decision." So that's mostly what I want to talk about tonight. Tell me, what is a business decision in this case? I mean, is it who will do a better job handling the economy? Because as we come to the end of the Biden-Harris administration now, I mean, here's the special report that's just put out today by The Economist magazine. The title is, quote, "The American Economy, the Envy of the World." This is a multi-day special report that's coming out now from The Economist. Here's the first installment in this multi-part series that's just out today. Quote, "The American economy has left other rich countries in the dust." That's the American economy at the end of the Biden-Harris administration. I mean, if you're making a business decision about who will do a better job handling the economy, well, the Biden-Harris economy has not only left every other rich country in the world in the dust, it has left the record of the Trump administration in the dust, right? Literally what they're calling a dream economy, the best job market in the history of the United States. That's what the Biden-Harris administration has done in their management of the U.S. economy. So is that what you're basing your business decision on? Maybe it's not the broad question of who will do a good job with the economy, who's shown that they can do a good job with the economy. Maybe your business decision when it comes to this election is more specific. Maybe it's about the deficit. Maybe you're a fiscal hawk, and that's the basis of your business decision that you're making about who to support here. Well, here's the headline today at the Wall Street Journal. Quote, "Economists say inflation and deficits will be higher under Trump than Harris." Quote, "According to a quarterly survey by the Wall Street Journal, most economists think inflation, interest rates, and deficits would be higher under the policies former President Donald Trump would pursue in a second administration than under those proposed by Vice President Kamala Harris. Quote, 65% of economists see Trump's proposed policies putting more upward pressure on the federal deficit than Kamala Harris's policies. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget estimates Trump's plans would widen federal budget deficits by more than twice the expected increase under Harris. So if that's the basis for your business decision about this election, if all you say you care about is fiscal responsibility and the deficit, right, bringing that deficit down, well, Trump doubles Harris. He laps Harris in terms of what he's planning to pile on to the deficit. Right? Similarly, let's say your business decision on this election is on inflation. Well, that's also a business decision about this election that should point you in one direction. Quote, of the economists who responded to the Wall Street Journal's question on inflation, 68% said prices would rise faster under Trump than under Harris. 68%. 68% of economists don't agree that today is Monday or that the Patriots suck this year. But 68% of economists agree that Trump is proposing really bad policies if what you care about is inflation. So what are you basing your business decision on when thinking about this election? I mean, maybe your business decision is less about data and policy, and it's more about just the kind of person you want the candidate to be. You hear this all the time from people who describe themselves as making a business decision about how to vote. They say they want somebody centrist, somebody moderate, sensible, right? Somebody right in the middle. That's good for business. Somebody who can appeal to reasonable people in both parties. If that's your approach to your business decision about this election, well, there is a candidate in this election who has a lot of very high-profile support from people in the other party. Just today, the Harris campaign released the latest ad from another Republican endorsing Harris, in this case, the Republican mayor of an important conservative city in swing state Arizona. I mean, there's like a campaign trail tour group now of former Trump administration officials who are doing swing state events to tell people to not vote for the man they served under in the last presidential administration under Trump. They are instead touring the swing states telling people to vote for Kamala Harris. Notice that there's no equivalent of that on the other side. There's no group that's like former Biden officials for Trump or former Obama officials for Trump. There's nothing like that. But there are lots and lots of officials from former Republican administrations and from Trump's own administration who are publicly begging Americans by the dozens, publicly begging Americans to vote for Harris and not for him. So just on the facts, I mean, if your business decision is economic performance broadly, that breaks for Harris. If your business decision is the deficit, that breaks for Harris. If your business decision is inflation, that breaks for Harris. If your business decision is on whether the candidate is bipartisan seeming and can appeal across both parties, clearly that's Harris.